6 o'clock, June 3rd, even though we're starting a few minutes late. Our only item on the agenda is to discuss the police station, the new police station with Clinton Decker. Do we need to approve that agenda?
If so, I'll make that motion.
Have a motion and second to approve the agenda with only Clinton Decker on it. Thank you. You may go.
Okay.
Just for the record, at our last council meeting, I had invited Clinton to come here because he's overseeing the project, the police department, and there's a lot of money, and I didn't know if any council had any questions, so I thought it'd be interesting to have Clinton come speak to us and kind of update us on where we're at financially, and just, you know, if there's been any changes, and if there's any questions, now would be a good time to ask him. So that's basically what it was about.
Okay. Thank you.
It's my understanding that the bonds closed last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was for $11 million. There is enough money to build the project. The bids came in at, with AML's bid, $6.2 million. The police chief would like to have a high bay, which is another $691,000, which brings the total construction with the underwriting, design fees, land acquisition up to $10,883,000, which leaves you roughly a $117,000 contingency.
Okay.
That's not a much.
That's not much of a
very big
contingency.
In that total number, when I was talking to the bonding company, that they had a contingency in there for $193,000. There was another security number in there for $150,000. The security is about $148,000, so that has been secured. Outside of that, they had $500,000 for equipment and furniture. No one has priced that yet, so we're hoping that that number won't be as much. So,
Clinton, in that bid, we had asked that the restructuring of the court and the police station, is that in any of that?
Should have been $200,000.
I thought it was more than that. Does anybody remember?
There wasn't enough in the bond for that.
Also,
Wasn't enough in the bond to do what?
To do the remodeling.
To remodel what we...
I guess if we have money left over, yes, but I mean, based on the budget we put together.
Yeah, that was part of the whole plan altogether. You know, one of the things, and here we are at the final hour again, but you know, we started at, I don't even know, 4 or 5 million, and we went to 6 and 7, and we just kept going up and up and up, and you know, we never really had much input into this. And you know, can you email us, Clinton, kind of a breakdown of where the dollars are?
Mhm.
That would be great. I think that might give us some feedback on, to answer our constituents' questions.
Yeah, I've got a breakdown with me as I understand it.
That would be great.
can we put that on the overhead?
Yeah, I can also scan it in tomorrow if it's okay with Clinton and give y'all copies.
Clinton, we, in this project, I think we originally, it was $1 million, but we bought the 62 property and demoed it and all that stuff, and we used Lowit money to do that, and we're supposed to be reimbursed into Lowit. Is that included in there?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
there's $1,253,000.
Pay no attention to the screen.
Okay.
My problem is
Okay, because I don't know what the total number was.
For what?
What was the high base that the police, that Chief Graham wanted?
You guys want to answer that? Oh, that's Culver Hawkins.
Yeah.
Basically, it was a storage area for their cars and
So it's
all
a
that.
separate building?
It's a separate building. Sorry.
Wrong group.
No errors from Stopanol.
Was that was not in the original plan?
Sorry,
You just
guys.
wanted it added?
We knew who you were with, we just...
We thought we knew who you were with.
There were, honestly, there were several alternates.
Okay.
And the reserve, underwriting reserve fee, land acquisition, $1,153,000 land acquisition, design fees $508,000, There's a design change order to value engineer the job, to get it under a certain threshold. It didn't pan out that way, but there was still a design change of $37,000. Geotechnical and geothermal design fee, $25,000. That was not in the scope of those contract. The security budget was $150,000. Now I've talked to Security Pros, who's doing the majority, if not all, the security in Jeffersonville. He sent me over a proposal. I think it was $148,000. That was last week. I've talked to the police chief about the furniture and the equipment. I honestly don't think they'll spend all that money. It hasn't been priced yet. Construction management fee, that is my fee. So you've got a contingency, and then the difference is what's left over after the bonds have been closed.
Right.
You know, in one meeting in Clinton, I'm asking this to the council because I know you weren't here. I asked when Wayne was here one day about the design fee for the police station. And we need to call those minutes back up because it was not, that's about 8%. It wasn't that much. I mean, he gave us flat dollar amounts, I thought.
That's what he said.
Yeah. But, I mean,
And Clinton, did we save any money doing the demo in-house versus having the
That's
scope it over?
another big question. I mean, one of the questions that there was demolition completed on the project. No one knows how the existing structures were backfilled. There wasn't any geotechnical information, whether it's suitable material or not. So in the original $6.2 million construction bid, I think there's $250,000 in there for an allowance to figure something out about the foundations. And what that is, I don't know. I can't get any information out of anybody. Nobody wanted to spend any more money taking a backhoe out there and digging prior to the bid. I would say award the contract to AML or somebody, and let's sit down with them and value engineer this thing really with some real dollars instead of guessing, and see what we can do about the $6.2 million and the $693,000.
well, the only, go ahead.
I mean, Clinton and I have worked on it before. I thought we were going to go out there and check. So someone decided not to do that?
So you're saying
Who
that
decided not to do that?
It wasn't me.
Well, I know it wasn't you.
Honestly, we could take a city backhoe out there, own a geotechnical engineering firm, we can go out and tell you what soils, what's suitable or not. But when you've got a geotechnical already hired, you've got an architect already
Right.
hired, I'm here to construction manage a project, not design.
Exactly.
But
We'll be happy
But
to,
the whole point is, if we're going to do it, we need to do it right, and we need to know what the actual costs are.
well,
And I'm not saying that to you. I mean, I'm saying that to you, but I understand you had nothing to
But
do with
I
it.
would love to get a
But-
contractor on board, go out there and take a backhoe, and then we will help assist in the foundation design
Right.
and make recommendations.
But I'm saying that really before we do anything,
First thing you've got to do.
wouldn't the first thing, I mean, the obvious is we have to find out if the ground would even support the weight of the project? So, I mean, we have to,
A $250,000, again, I didn't pull it out, but I'm pretty sure there's a $250,000 allowance in there to make some subsurface adjustments. I think there's plenty of money in that amount, plus the bid, if we get somebody on board outside the architect making these decisions.
but I'm saying though, to make adjustments, shouldn't you first find out what your soil and what you're dealing with first, and then your adjustments come afterward? You're not talking about start pouring footers and make adjustments along the way.
No, but I'm talking about getting somebody under contract, going out there and digging certain areas.
Right.
Making some determination of what soil type is there, and then figure out, is the foundation system designed proper or not?
And that's not your job, or it is?
That is not my job.
That's not your
No.
job. So as a construction advisor, in other words, in any project, things come up. We know that. And there's always issues that come up that have to be addressed. Some of them are small, some of them are large. This should be the first issue that raises a question, correct? And so what do we do?
These are the same questions that I asked months ago, prior to the thing even being bid. Now it's bid, we've got a contingency in there. In that $606 million number, we've got a $250,000 allowance, bid allowance for soil conditions.
Les, is that the call, I guess, of redevelopment to work with that, or, I don't know, I'm
My
asking.
understanding, we were gonna go out there, do a, take it back hard. check
Soil
it.
samples, what's the
Soil.
term?
It's fine.
Okay. Core drilling? I
I
mean,
mean, this is news to me, I thought that already been done.
but we don't have the position, I guess, to say do that, but to me, speaking for myself, is we have to find out what we're building on. I mean, what if 100 years ago it was a landfill, city landfill? We don't know that.
I understand, Mike.
We need to find, that's the first thing we need to find out.
Well, there was a geotechnical engineer involved.
Okay.
You had a structural engineer involved. Using that information, the project should be designed correctly, period. Okay? So that the questions that I had were the areas that the city demoed. You went out there, took down buildings.
Right.
Was there a crawl space? Was there a basement? How were they backfilled? Was it treated properly? Did the concrete get busted up? Did it get removed from something? No one knows.
So that's what we've got to figure out, just
So-
those areas.
And that was done
There's
in-house.
a retention basin out there. What is the soil conditions out there? Can anybody answer that? Nobody could. Okay, well then, we've got this big gray area. We have to resolve that gray area. You can't put a bid project, in my mind, okay, it's done all the time, but in my mind, you can't put a project out for bid with these gray areas. The city's gonna pay one way or the other. So
I don't like paying the other.
Let's level the bid, let's level the playing field, put a $250,000 allowance in there, bid the project. That way, the soil condition is across the board is bid the same. So the city, whether it's a $200,000 item or a $50,000 item or $500,000 item, you know what money you're dealing with. Now it's myself dealing with a contractor. Okay, let's negotiate this based on these unit costs. And all the unit costs were about the same between all the bidders, so you're getting a fair price. Let's see if we can really value engineer this job, not architecturally value engineer it. Let's work with some real numbers and work on the $6.7 million.
I think we need to look at the construction alternatives. Was all of that just one building, or were there other alternatives in there?
No, there were several construction alternates. That's the only one that you can afford, and that's the only one, based on that $11 million the bond floated. And that's the only one that the police chief says, I really need this, or there's no sense in making a project.
I don't
So
think we can afford that one.
That's one. That's only one. And the other ones are, a lot of them are finishes. You go with this tile or this tile, it's a $30,000 increase. The security is watered down, to get the security, the full-blown security system's worth about $300,000 to $350,000. You want to go with what the police chief wants, card readers and all that stuff? You can't, there's not enough money in there. So when I was dealing with security pros, give me a price for X. Let's see if we can't value engineer some and get more security in there, or pick another alternate and get more bang for the buck.
But I guess with our attorneys here, though, we can't, this is redevelopment. It's interesting conversation, but we have nothing that we can say or do as far as, we've got it, I can't tell you, well, let's see if the ground's suitable, let's see if there was a crawl space, let's see if there's a fuel oil tank. We don't know anything. But that's not our call to ask you to do that. Is that?
Yeah, it's a redevelopment.
Project.
Jamie's here, man, I know redevelopment has
This is all,
deferred.
none of this information has ever been presented to redevelopment.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
How in the world? How do we get to this
So
stuff?
I don't understand how this was passed without being put before the redevelopment board.
It's been put before redevelopment, and redevelopment has authorized Public Works to manage the day-to-day operations of the building, which is what has happened on many of the other public projects in the past. Fire stations, for instance, that our firm did was one of those. That's how it was operating, day-to-day operations in Public Works. But as far as the soil conditions and so forth, that's never been presented to redevelopment to act upon. And the only other item I would mention is, unless I'm mistaken, when the bond was increased to $11 million, it was done so to cover the cost of the renovation in this building.
It was.
It was.
Yeah, but the problem was on the bids came back higher.
But that's why we approved that was one of the reasons why
Then you need to
we on
redesign
redevelopment
the building,
approved
that's what
the
we're doing.
increased bond.
But isn't that what we're doing with the soccer field? It came back too high.
So we're redesigning it.
We're redoing the bid. So,
Maybe
you
we
know,
need to
I don't
rebid
look
the
at this
police
as any
station.
different.
No?
I mean, there's no question we need to build it. And there's no question it's needed. The question is, you know,
Putting this job out for rebid isn't going to solve the problem. Unless you do some design changes.
That's what
and
we
take out-
said, do design changes. That's what we had to do to the
Well,
soccer field.
The
Yeah,
problem
I
is you've
know.
already paid for value engineering one time and it didn't work. So you're going to go back to the drawing board and pay the same firm for value engineering again, and you're going to end up with the same result.
Can you give me, or give us,
We doing it or what?
excuse me, in your opinion, why the value engineering didn't work?
what is value engineering? What's
Yeah,
that
what
term
is
mean?
Can you
that?
explain that to us?
Value engineering typically is you have a project and you put together a real number to build a project and you say, oh, I can't afford it. In this case, I've got a $7 million building, I can't afford it. So I'm going to value engineer, I'm going to look at different alternates. I'm going to change the steel, I'm going to change the concrete, change the foundation type, change the veneer, what it looks like, take out the expensive glass, put in less expensive glass, change the doors, change the security system, you know, to lessen the cost.
And what I'm asking is, what happened during that process?
Don't know, I wasn't involved in that process.
Jamie, was Jamie?
No.
Redevelopment?
He just said redevelopment wasn't involved.
I got a set of
You guys
plans.
involved in that?
I'm going through all the calls,
He
trying
said
to
it
figure
was
out
supposed to go through the Board of
how
Public
much
Works.
the total project is. Come across a $37,000 change order for value engineering. That's all I know about.
We hired him
But it did lower
to
the cost.
project manage, and the only thing that's
It didn't
gonna be
get
done
within a
for the
$5 million
Public Works
budget.
is Change order.
Where was
So
it
it
at?
never came through
To
to
start?
you all either.
That I don't
I
know.
don't know that either.
But obviously it was higher than 6.2 million.
I have a question. The design fees, I mean, we already paid those, didn't we? Is that something that'd be reimbursed back to us? Along with the acquisition, yeah, along with the, that land acquisition, isn't that correct? I mean, there's not additional design fees to be paid, is there?
No, that is the contract amount that the underwriter, he had a list of items, and it was
Okay.
like pulling teeth to get all the
I
numbers
think,
out.
I think we already paid 600,000 plus.
I know we
According
were
to
getting
this,
a
you
lot of
paid
bills.
the
and-
508, the 37, I can't see that.
I mean, I think we can ask Amy to,
37 and the 25.
we could ask Amy to,
It's 5,
We've already paid, we've already paid the 25 as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The jail thermal.
yeah, I think we paid over 600,000 in design fees already. And
Okay, we're at 10.
And then, no, so I think what that would be is a reimbursement back to Lowit, along with the land acquisition. So we're looking at, this is going off memory, but I mean, we can go back to different meetings, but I think we're looking at getting, $1 million, whatever, $1.6 million back to Lowit. Because we fronted all those costs through Lowit.
That's not my problem in the scheme of things.
I know, I just wanted to get that out there though,
No,
too.
no.
It's not like there's additional fees. I mean, the fees are still substantial, but it's already been paid.
Then they're gonna let you have to use that to finish the building.
Or to do remodel there.
No, we had to get that back first. Not the bond.
I do want to know, while you're using my numbers, someone needs to verify these. I haven't seen any contracts whatsoever, okay? I don't know that a Stolpenhal's fee is 508. That's just what I'm being told. So I don't want to be on the hook for these numbers without seeing the contracts. I can tell you the $120,000 number is my number. That's my contract number, so that's the only one that I know is a firm number up there. I have seen the $37,000 change order number. So
Scott, do we have a right to have a copy of the, since we're spending money, of the contracts and to know exactly how much money is being
Yeah, not
spent?
just us, I mean, any...
I don't understand why he
governmental
cannot
contract
get it.
It's public information, and anybody from the public.
Well, I am requesting you as our attorney to please get those for us.
And do you want Clinton to have a copy?
And I want Clinton to have a copy as well.
You want to hit the gavel, too?
It's official.
That's right.
Do you need a motion?
Well, I guess my question is there anything that we can do to try and scale this thing down to where we can afford it? I mean, I know we've approved the bond, but, you know, it's kind of like we've put the cart before the horse here again.
Yeah, exactly, because what we thought we were approving is not what we,
No.
it's not what we approved.
what, I guess the question I've got for you guys is what is the number that you can afford?
Well,
I mean, is it a $6 million job? Is it a $5 million job?
we thought it was a $5 million job.
Well, you can't cut $1.8 million out of this design. It's not there. I've looked, because
Right.
I'm trying to cut about $500,000 out of it right now.
Well, I worry that the $193,000 contingency fee's gonna be enough.
Well, it's 193 plus the 117. See the difference of 117? The 193 actually came from the underwriter. He gave me that number.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So you,
So there's $310,000 in contingency
Right.
fees, or
Still not a
contingency.
lot. That's still not a lot.
I don't know about, you know, alternatives. I've never heard, has anybody heard about the second building?
No, this is the first I heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't know. there
I
were
like
two
to know
buildings.
where that building's going, because if it goes back too far, we're getting into wetlands. I know about those wetlands.
What seems strange to me is just, you know, throughout the process of doing a big project like that, it's normal for some board to manage it. I mean, and periodically, monthly, every other month, or quarterly, just every once in a while, kind of get up to speed about what designs are, what alternatives are there, what designs are being proposed, what the costs are going to be. I mean, look how we've done the soccer complex. We've been talking about that for two and a half years. And how many times have we gone back and forth about this and that and what this would cost and what alternative? And then even then, it came back too high, and now we're looking at alternatives. I don't see that happening for this project, and this project is, you know, twice, 3 times larger. Redevelopment is the one paying for it. They seem to be the one that should be managing it, but they haven't really been involved.
Exposed to it.
Well, and Brian said, if you said it was supposed to come before the Board of Public Works, it hasn't really come before the Board of Public Works.
No, what I said was the only thing that's come before the Board of Public Works so far that I'm aware of is the fact that we approved the contract to hire a project manager. I don't know if that's the title you used up, but construction management. We approved that, and then we approved the fact that any change orders would be handled through the Board of Public Works. That's really the only discussion we've had on the board, so.
But that's not the minute details that should be being
I
discussed.
don't, no, those details wouldn't go through the Board of Public Works. That should be handled through redevelopment, in my
The reason
opinion.
Board of Works is getting involved at this point, is like Jamie said, it just, they meet weekly and it's just more convenient for them to deal with.
Okay, well then, to me, it should have been brought before redevelopment. All of this should have been discussed in great detail over many, many meetings so that Jamie and all the other redevelopment board members knew what was going on and the cost, and that was not done, evidently.
I think the question of what can you afford, when you look at the redevelopment department, they have a pretty good cash flow. They could afford this. I mean, is this what the mayor and redevelopment wants to invest $10 million, $11 million in?
Or
I mean,
maybe more.
There's a day when that money runs out, and you can only make so many investments into this community through TIF. And if this is what they want, I guess we can afford it. But again, you know, I look at these projects and say, okay, where's the payback to the taxpayers? Where's the increased assessed values? Is there increased jobs? That kind of stuff. There's definitely a quality of life issue. You know, we definitely need a new police station, but if you want to spend this much on it, I guess
Well, but
that's
my question
debatable.
is redevelopment gonna pay for the remodel here too?
I remember that it was in the original plan, and Monica, and I'll have to go back and look, but she had it, numbers out, and in that number was I think it was 200,000, maybe a little bit more for back here, because that's supposedly where the clerk is going. It's back there.
I don't remember how much it was. I knew it was.
Might have been a little more, but I remember it was.
You know, I mean, I don't really question, and I agree with Ed, that the cost of the facility is up, I guess, to the administration and what they can or can't afford, and that's redevelopment. Redevelopment's got their TIF dollars. But my concern is, at the very least, is we need soil samples to find out what we deal with from the word get-go. And I would have actually thought that at some point, I don't know what this building, I don't know how many stories it is, but at some point in time, you're going to have to know whether the ground will actually hold the property. At some point in time, you're going to have to know whether you have fuel tanks, because there may not be, but in a lot of older parts of Jeff, they do have fuel oil tanks. It's not a big deal, but still, it's an environmental situation that had to be cleaned up.
I'm satisfied that the building was designed around a good geotechnical report.
Right.
There are some questions, though, on where buildings were demolished, and that is a quantifiable amount. That's how we got the $250,000 that need to be added into the bid. It was, if this footprint isn't suitable for a building or a parking lot, let's go ahead and quantify that, and we'll take it out and we'll put suitable material in. As far as the building foundation, will it sit? Will the foundation hold up the two-story building? Absolutely.
Okay, now
The structural engineer and geotechnical say.
the add-on, the construction alternative, the high bay facility, the drawings I have seen, which has been several years ago or a year or so ago, didn't have a secondary building. Now we have a secondary building. Do we know where that is spotted on the property? Is that suitable, or do we know that it is?
Do they have a
Because I've never seen a secondary building.
But the SWAT truck didn't cost $691,000.
I might ask another question. At the geotech at $37,000, and you're saying we could go out there with backhoe and do whatever, what have they provided for the $37,000?
I don't know. I'm assuming the geotech, geothermal, those are two fees.
I understand.
No, I think he's involved.
I have not read a geotechnical report, so I can't answer your question. They should have given information of the existing soils to the structural engineer so he could design.
That's my question of how we got a $25,000 bill, but we don't have the information for they may have worked for a Stockman Group, I don't know. Do they have their own geo people?
It's a separate contract.
Separate contract.
In the ground for anything.
Red Wing's on a geotechnical firm.
It was a separate,
It wasn't under their roof or their
no,
umbrella?
it was a separate contract.
You see what I'm saying, where I'm going with that?
It doubles, everything doubles. Oh, it's going to be more than that when it's done.
We were talking earlier, real quick, on the high bay building that you're talking about, the alternative. We're all assuming that that's more or less like a complex like you would see at the fire department, where you've got garage doors that open up, 20 feet, 22 feet, something like that. Do you have any idea what we're housing in that? I mean, do we have trucks that we actually need to house in a high bay facility?
Or is this to house evidence, cars or something? Cars
My
that are...
understanding was
For them to take vehicles in or whatever.
'Cause I know we need a very secure place for that because
Is it
the
a
court...
separate building or is it attached? I thought it was attached.
It's attached.
It's attached.
It's a steel structure.
I thought it was
that's
attached to the
attached.
building.
I think it's-
attached to, I mean,
It's not a totally separate building.
Right,
At my age, it just don't face me.
yeah.
I holiday him last night, but I'm all right.
There's bigger problems in my life, and that ain't one of them.
Okay.
Always want to be one.
Question, Clinton. When we hit the $11 million mark, then what happens? Is that where we pay cash for the I mean, what happens? Explosion. Okay, that's what I thought. And then is redevelopment, are they, Jamie or Les, whoever, are they aware that the amount of the dollar buy-in that the council is going to pay? I mean, are they thinking the council's paying the bond payment? Because the council is not paying the bond payment. I mean, my understanding, we committed or talked about committing a certain dollar amount, but it's nowhere, my understanding, enough to pay for an $11 million bond. And I'm just curious what the perception is, because we haven't even had that discussion.
I mean, my personal perception. My personal perception was, it was always presented that the council was paying towards the bond payment. My personal perception was that on redevelopment, we have to be willing to pay, underwrite the entire bond amount, because we don't have control of that.
Right.
And we were not ever presented the actual dollar amount.
Okay.
And my assumption was that would follow the bond sale, that was going to be an agreement between the administration and the council that would be presented to us.
I think it's fair. I mean, I've made it clear to redevelopment, and at the end of the day, they're on the hook for those bond payments.
Well, I guess my question, Jamie, and this might be better directed to you. Clinton is, I assume you're going to make this same presentation to redevelopment? Because you're the one that is going to sign the contract?
Redevelopment signed this contract with the contractor. I was going to show you.
I was going to have to contact them.
You can build.
But I mean, you all have to sign, they have to sign off on it. You all have to sign off on it, don't you?
That's designed for barges.
I guess my question is redevelopment just going to say, hey, let's go with this?
Yes, yeah, you can put a, see, that's what, this is new. You need 20-foot line.
Oh my gosh.
What if you got a 30-foot?
Redevelopment has never been presented with the design presentation.
I'm not throwing
You know,
stuff here.
it's been frustrating because we have not been involved, we've not been privy to the information. The only time I saw a plan was when a contractor sent it to me during debating my questions, thought I was the architect. So that's the only time I've ever seen a plan of the police station. Never been presented. I mean, some of the information that's being presented here tonight.
Okay.
I'm on one commission, I don't get both, but I mean, what Brian had mentioned to go to Public Works was what was discussed and voted upon at our last meeting, to allow the change orders to go through Public Works, to not exceed the contract amount. We had previously approved the bond up to 11 million, but I've never seen this breakdown presented to redevelopment as far as the information. My understanding was when we increased that to 11 million on redevelopment, that we did so because it was going to include renovation of the, what would become the abandoned areas of this building. So to me, this does not represent what I believe I voted on to approve the bond sale, because it's still missing the renovation part.
Yeah, and that's what we thought we were agreeing to as well.
What are the renovations worth?
I'm sorry.
What are the renovations
What
worth?
was $200,000 item?
It is for back here.
I thought that's what the item was presented. And there was a few other items that were wrong, that raised it to the 11 million, but that was the one that was kind of the red flag, so to speak, of why that came back to us. It wasn't because there were additional design fees or geotechnical information that wasn't resolved, or, you know, some of these other line items. It wasn't my understanding.
Do you have any other business in this?
No. Does anybody have any other questions?
I have a question. Maybe this is outside your scope for this project, but you've looked at the design of the police station, obviously. Do you find it to be average, above average, you know, as far as the overall design and materials being used?
It's a very nice police station.
Okay. I won't press that.
That's why I would like for you guys or somebody to get a contractor on board, sign a contract, and I don't really care what the amount is, and hopefully redevelopment will give me the authority to sit down with them and say, can we cut this out, and get some real numbers.
Well, I guess I'm confused. We've got a engineer, we've got architects, we've got you, we've got all these, and now we want to hire another contractor? I don't understand.
No, you're going to hire a contractor. I mean, you have to have a contractor to build the project.
Okay, but you just said, I thought you just
No,
said get...
I want to sit down with the contractor.
And do your own value engineering.
And come up with our own value engineering and take it to redevelopment or somebody outside of the architect and say, is this really what you want, or can you live with this?
That was.
And talk to the police state, the
Objective
police
of
chief.
bringing Clinton on was to
do that.
To see if we can make some more economical decisions on
One of the issues for redevelopment, that the reason that the commission supported the hiring of a project manager in Clinton was because from redevelopment standpoint, we have not had anybody come to us to communicate with us anything on this project. It's a significant bond, it's $11 million. It was stated by a couple of commissioners tonight that the approved, Clinton had already been hired, we just approved paying for the contract at redevelopment. He'd already been working for several weeks. When it was brought to redevelopment, he was already hired. It was just they had no one to pay the bill, so redevelopment agreed to pay the bill. And we did so, in my opinion, we did so because I think Commissioner Stevens stated it correctly. You know, we're on the hook for so much as redevelopment. So many times we are responsible, yet we don't have any oversight or authority. So by having Clinton, it was felt like somebody's overseeing the project, somebody that would be willing and able to come present to us on the redevelopment commission, keep us up to date, and allow us to be privy to information. Which I personally agree with. I think that was a good reason to do so. Because up to that point, like I said, it's a significant project. We have not seen one plan, we have not seen one presentation.
Well, I guess getting back to Clinton's question, with the attorney being here and with you guys being here, is there any way that through redevelopment and Clinton and you guys get together and get into that value, whatever? Or, I mean, is that something you all can work towards?
The conversation with Clinton, that's been our objective, to get to that point.
I honestly, I don't, this is my personal opinion, I don't want to go through a value engineering exercise and then put it out for rebid. That's a waste of time.
You think you could do it after the bid happens?
And so I can only imagine that.
To give it back to the architect and say, redesign, value engineer, someone's already made that mistake once.
Okay, so it's a moot issue.
Yeah, get the contractor on board and we'll sit down, I'll sit down with the contractor and we'll value engineer something, if anything. You know, but to pay someone to go out and value engineer it again and draw new drawings and reissue, you got that problem going on right now on another project in town.
We thought it was important to have someone on a project like this where certain things are decided.
I missed that. I was calculating.
So what are you asking specifically? I mean, what would be your best case scenario that... What?
The $6.2 million is the contract with AML. $693,000 is a change order, or the first bid alternate. I'm asking someone to sign a contract with AML
That was all your stuff from planning
and start the
commission.
project.
And is that between redevelopment and less, I mean, is that
Culver's
what...
was approved and all that stuff.
No, I know that.
I mean, my intent is to have a contract.
Everybody else.
That contract, the name of the board of
We cannot get everybody else to sign something that's...
I know.
Is that what the contract has to answer both entities?
Well, I thought them poor guys have gone through.
Clear that Clinton
That opens up the door for a lawsuit from somebody else.
project, so.
How is it? They've all been
Yeah, I've been
approved.
through with
No, we turned down one
City
for...
garage.
We turned down one for... We turned down an
My
offer. We
personal
cannot...
experience, once you have someone as a project manager on such a large project,
I know on the fire stations, you all took out went from metal roof to shingle roof, and you took out the training tower. So, I mean, I know that the past practice has been to go into and make cuts and adjustments and tweak to try to get the price down, because that's been done.
I think the fire station, did they?
That's okay. It's not like I never make any mistakes.
The Fire Station 2, Fire Station 4, and City Services was a $10 million project for all three of them. It was slightly over bid, or over budget when it bid, but this is key, and I think Clinton's alluding to that fact. You can't negotiate before you award that contract. You award
Okay.
the contract to the bidder, and then you can make changes to the contract that don't significantly change the scope. And in that case, those fire stations.
You're keeping the designs.
Services project that you're referring to, that is a good example of that, where there's a change order after the fact. The money was in place to award the whole contract, we just didn't want to award all of it.
Right.
It was like 10.2. So the change order reduced to 0.2 out of it. I think that's what Clinton's alluding to. Award the contract to the low bidder, the contract will go to redevelopment. Redevelopment is allowing Public Works to manage the day-to-day activities without increasing the contract sum, to work within these allowances, to work with Clinton. Clinton's going to continue to communicate with redevelopment, and then, and then move forward to a comfort level on that project. That's my understanding, is one redevelopment commissioner, I'm not speaking for the commissioner.
I have a question, I guess maybe for Scott. Part of this project, and it's been mentioned, that part of the project dealt with, we're going to have empty space here that we have to address. If it was presented that part of this project is to remodel that space and fix that space to a functioning space, and then it's just chosen not to do that part because we don't have the money, yet we're adding other contingencies that we could use. We could not do those, make add-ons, and do what we were told was going to be done. Do we have any recourse at all, or is it just we just accept this as all of information and we just move on?
Good question.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's a good question. I think if the changes are not substantially changing the scope of the project, then I don't believe, in my opinion, that we would have a say in that. Obviously, if there was something happening with this project since we improved the bonds, and if there was a substantial change, if there's no building or 3 or 4 buildings, something dramatic. I think these changes here are probably within the scope or the authority or discretion to have change orders of this small substance. The way I see it.
Thanks for the information, Glenn.
All right, I'm going to call this meeting because we need to have a Parks meeting. So thank you, Clinton,
Thanks,
for coming. So do I have a motion to adjourn this?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you.